stuff. That was a dog door you just heard. That was the very exuberant entrance of Franklin there.
Franklin.
He came flying in, and he's got the head the size of a bowling ball. He's a big-headed boy. And then there's the squeaky toy back in the background. This is just, this is the everyday podcast. We're not in the studio. We got things going on. Hello, all you canyon brats out there. Welcome to episode number 3. This episode is a little bit different. Instead of an adventure in the canyon, this is actually a adventure, or rather misadventure in a sense, up in one of our other favorite playgrounds. I know, not Grand Canyon. We still have huge canyon love, and the majority of these episodes will be about the canyon. But our other playground that I think everyone in Flagstaff really loves is the San Juan Mountains up in southwestern Colorado. It is about 5 to 7 hours depending on where in the San Juans you want to go, and absolutely gorgeous, beautiful places, rugged terrain. So this episode talks about not only our trip up a 14er, Mount Sneffels, but also something that happened on the way down from an alpine lake that was the miss part of misadventure, or a little happening, a little rough thing that happened. So thank you guys for listening. As usual, this episode's a little bit topsy-turvy in the sense that it was the first one that we actually recorded, and we didn't know what our name was going to be. We didn't know if it was going to be Mountain Monkeys or Canyon Brats or whatever. We hadn't decided yet, so it might sound a little wonky if you're listening to these in order. Speaking of our other episodes, episode 1 and 2 about Zoroaster, if you listened in either live or afterwards, thank you again. I hope you enjoyed us talking about that crazy 22-hour day summiting Zoroaster. If you have any other questions, comments about logistics, definitely hit us up, especially on Instagram. Go ahead and comment or direct message us if you have any thoughts about going and doing Zoroaster or the hike around it. Like, it's a great backpacking trip even if you don't summit Zoroaster. But again, thanks for listening to those, and thank you to those of you who have submitted summit beers. So if you want to give a summit beer for an episode and get a shout out, just throw a single dollar our way, Venmo it to Nick-Irvine8, and we will throw you on the air, and we'll use that money to have a summit beer or a podcast beer. So anyway, enough with the business. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. Episode number 3, the San Juan Misadventure. Enjoy.
Wait, so what is this podcast called?
We actually don't have a name for the podcast yet. I don't think. But maybe it's going to be called Canyon Brats. Maybe it's going to be called Weekend Warrior. You shook your head at Weekend Warrior because there already is one. Oh, you just don't like it anyway.
No, it's a little cliche.
Yeah.
I think we can do better.
Yeah, so to be determined?
Yeah, I like Canyon Brats, but we weren't in a canyon this weekend.
Yeah, so it won't always be canyon stuff. So yeah, that's tough too.
Could be confusing for our large audience.
Yeah. So we'll think of a name. If anybody out there right now has a suggestion, we're not live, so by the time you hear this,
we probably still won't have a name, so we will still be accepting suggestions.
Probably true. Yeah, and you probably would come up with a better one than we'd have. So yeah, so it's our first contest. It's a listener contest for naming our podcast.
And what's the prize?
The prize is that you have named our podcast. And a washer and dryer.
Yeah,
a brand new washer and dryer.
Dude.
Can you give yours away?
I really don't want to. They're pretty nice.
Yeah. No, yeah, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, this is the first episode of a podcast that is about, I don't know what's it going to be about?
Whew,
Besides giving away laundry equipment.
Outdoor adventures, in this case, outdoor mishaps.
Yeah, I think it's really, we'll just wait until, we go on a lot of trips that don't have necessarily crazy stories tied to them.
I don't know if I would agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
I think we get ourselves into some pickles.
Yes. Oh, now I'm imagining being inside of a pickle. Eat
You
my
would
way
love
out.
that.
Nom, 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 nom. Yeah, we do get into some pickles for sure, and get ourselves out of it through struggles. So every single adventure we go on is going to be a good podcast.
I think we have eventful trips.
Yeah. You think we have eventful trips?
Yep.
Me too. So, let's start right off the beginning. Actually, I kind of wanted to start off from the beginning. What I just said. What are you doing right now? You're taking a sip of something.
This delicious drink that I just concocted. What?
You said concocted.
Come on. I am drinking a hazy little thing IPA mixed with the mystery beer that Nick brought over.
The mystery beer, I thought it's just a blank can, a 16-ounce can, and usually what that meant is it was a dark beer, a stout. I poured it and no, it's some kind of sour.
Lucky for me.
Yeah, because I'm not drinking
Kind of.
it.
Well,
But you mixed Hazy Little Thing, which is by who?
Sierra Nevada.
This episode brought to you by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company out of Chico, California. All right. You mix it with what?
With the mystery beer that is some type of sour.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
You liking your little experiment over there?
Yeah, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a delicious honey wine, aka Mead, by Drinking Horn Meadery, which is here in Flagstaff, Arizona. The lovely Evan and Kelly. The lovely Kelly, the humble
Evan's
Evan.
all right.
He's okay, yeah. He's got youth on his side. So we are drinking we're drinking from a bottle of their mead. I'll definitely put their links, a link to their website where you can find out where they are, what they're pouring, and how to get some. I'll put those in the show notes. Definitely like to support them. What?
The show notes.
The show notes, yeah.
No, I know. It's
you
just,
have to have show
wow,
notes.
like how this is just so official.
Absolutely. That's how I roll. I'm very professional and official.
Yeah.
By the way, script right here.
We are
I scripted.
not even on. I can't say off topic. We are never on topic.
I haven't quite jumped on the train yet. But I want to talk about what we're drinking. So yeah, I'm drinking some prickly pear mead from Drinkhorn Meadery out of Flagstaff, Arizona. And you are drinking your experiment of hazy and sour. And we're sitting around the table here, and we're going to discuss our recent adventure. And it was our adventure, but it was also another member's adventure that we will get into, but not quite yet, pretty soon. And so that probably sounds really weird if you don't know, but it'll come to fruition in a little bit.
Another member.
So gear. So let's talk about some of the gear. Well, before we talk about the gear that we did, or that we used for this adventure, I want to rewind to the time that we had before this. What was the trip we did before the San Juans?
I don't know. I've been going by myself a lot.
Oh no, it wasn't very recent. And and it's kind of mean. I'm bringing this up because you spaced out on a lot of stuff.
I'm a Jean. Yes, I forgot a tent.
Yeah.
Seems like a pretty important thing.
A tent, not just for you, but for me too, like for everybody.
Listen, everyone, I'm not even 5'2". I can sleep comfortably.
Spilled the beer. All right. I'm so upset about this tent thing.
He's still mad at me.
Keep explaining, and I'm going to go clean this up real fast.
I can sleep very comfortably in my car, so when I go on solo trips, a tent is not the first thing on my mind.
How tall are you?
A 5'1 3/4. You know, when I was like 14, 15-ish, I would get sports physicals for cross country, and they always told me I was 5'2". And then one year I went in and they said, "Oh, you're 5'1 3/4". And I said, "Let me stand up a little straighter for you." And I stood up as straight as I could, and they're like, "Yeah, you're 5'1 3/4". And I was like, "No way! I've been 5'2" for the past several years." And they're like, "Huh? You're not." I must have shrunk.
Well, that happens to all of us, but not
ripe
this
age
early.
of 16.
Yeah, not that early. What was that? Reminds me of someone we were talking to a little while back. A elderly woman who said she's been falling a little bit, and she said, though, thank God the good Lord has been making her closer and closer to the ground. I just thought that was hilarious. You forgot the tent, so we slept in the car, which is fine. It was not the first time. In fact, during this trip, we slept in the car one night.
We did. It was very cold.
Yeah, usually cold is the determining factor of sleeping inside of a car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I forgot some other things on that trip. I think I forgot my puffy.
Yeah.
You forgot your puffy.
Yes, that was a throwback to you.
Yep. And I forgot headphones for a race that we were doing. I think that was it.
Yeah.
Not that bad.
I don't think that was it, but we can stop there. I remember there was quite a few things. But yeah, so gear is essential. So this past weekend was a Colorado trip. We drove to the San Juan Mountains, which is a playground for Flagstaff. It is basically at least to me it is, it's our backyard, our big mountain backyard. We've got our own little mountains here, but those are the big ones that we can escape to within how long?
I mean, a weekend. I didn't have to take work off. That's a change from moving from Tucson. It went from being a 8-hour, 9-hour drive, more than that. 9-hour drive to a 5.5-hour drive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, depending on where in San Juan's you're going, but yeah, about 5 or 6 hours to get to some beautiful mountains. So, why did we end up going there?
It was just another one of my brilliant ideas. Obviously, not being sarcastic.
No.
I've gone to the San Juans three times this summer, and the last time it was starting to get a little brisk and chilly. So I thought we need to do one more trip before winter really comes. One more trip where we can still semi-comfortably camp, get into some higher altitudes without facing snow and bad weather. And I want to see the fall colors. We have them here at home too, but I was just being a little brat and wanted to see better ones.
Yeah, it's way different, the fall colors there.
It is, yeah.
When we hit it spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think yeah, we hit it. What do they call it? The peak. We hit the peak of
peak leaf peeping.
We'll say that.
No pumpkin spice lattes were had.
You may not have, but I snuck a couple.
No.
No. Are you against pumpkin spice lattes? Or pumpkin spice coffees or whatever?
No, pumpkin things I like. Pumpkin spice lattes, I don't think I care for.
No?
I haven't had one since college, but I didn't like it. I think the last pumpkin spice latte I tried was in college. There was this coffee place on campus, University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, that had $2 lattes any size on Wednesdays. So I'd get one every week. And so fall season rolled around, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try one of these pumpkin spice lattes that everyone is posting on Facebook every single day. So I got one, and it was awful. And then I had to go to class sans coffee, and
you didn't even just chug it down anyway?
No.
Oh.
No.
That's terrible. I don't care how bad the coffee is.
You didn't drink that latte.
We'll talk about that one. We'll talk about that one. That one should have been in the notes right there. That was a big part of this weekend. But 99 times out of 100, I'll go ahead and just choke down the coffee because you gotta have it. I mean, I was a teacher for 9 years. Coffee is our life. But you didn't do it. And you haven't had one since then?
I don't think so. I don't know. I have an awful memory, so maybe.
I'm acting surprised, but I don't know if I've ever had one. I'm sure I have.
Do you want to go get one tomorrow? No, I kind of want one.
Yes, let's do that. And then we'll report back.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, for this exciting next chapter.
I know you're on the edge of your seat.
We've now got a part 2. The edge of your seat as I scoot forward. Why were we talking about pumpkin spice lattes?
Fall colors.
That's right.
Yep.
So we went to the San Juans because, like you said, your brilliant idea was we can get one more non-winter trip to the San Juans. Now, I heard you say bad weather, and we can rewind.
Okay.
Some people do think it's bad weather, but I definitely think the San Juans in the winter are glorious. And you can have an amazing time. So this isn't the end of San Juan season, or San Juan. It goes into the winter for sure for me too. And we're already talking about trips, plans of going in the winter for snowboarding and backcountry skiing.
Yeah, totally. One of us has lived in the desert for the last 7 years, so winter is scary. This was the last cheap San Juan trip where we didn't necessarily have to get a hotel, although we did. Yeah, and the colors, like I said, hit it perfect. If you guys live anywhere near the San Juans, go right now because you're gonna miss it.
No, if you go right now, it's probably midwinter by the time this gets released. But it's October. It's first week of October is when we went, right? First weekend of October.
Yeah.
Was it? I think it was. And yeah, it was gorgeous. So we wanted to do that. And so in that, I think you were also, it's your brilliant idea as usual, and it was another brilliant idea. I think you were the one that brought up Snuffles.
Yeah, I had one hike in mind for the weekend, which was Lake, because not this past time that I was in the San Juans for Imogene, but the time before that I went out with my pup, Chloe, and we were at a brewery, started chatting with a real nice couple, Debbie and Charlie, and I was gonna go hike Blue Lakes the following day, and they were like, don't go to Blue Lakes, you should go to Lake, it's amazing. But I did my own thing anyways, because when I have a plan I like to stick to it. But I looked up Lake and it did look incredible, and they said it was much less crowded. Should I not be giving away the name of the lake? Are other people gonna go and now
I'll leave it to my thoughts later when I edit, but I think it's fine. It's really hard to get to.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy...
No one's going to listen to this. It's fine.
Don't worry, we're not being those Instagram killers. Are we? Oh, no.
No.
When we talk about all this, that's going to be a thing.
So, unnamed lake.
No.
Anyways, this beautiful alpine lake that I wanted to hike to. So that was just, a 1 8-mile hike. My second idea was doing a 14er. So we decided on Snuffles, which is kind of, I think, the closest driving wise.
The closest 14er?
To us, yeah.
Around there? There's a couple.
14.
Yeah. Handies.
Handies, yeah. I felt like that was further east, but it's really not. So we decided on Snuffles. Seemed dog friendly enough.
Snuffles, by the way, you keep hearing this word Snuffles. It's called Mount Snuffles. It's the name of a 14,000. Oh, and what a 14er is. We got to explain that. Some people might not know.
Sure.
So a 14er is?
A mountain that is higher than 14. Oh, wait, I messed that up. Feet.
Yeah. In this case, 14,158 feet. It's, that's all good and dandy, but you need to know prominence as well. We drove up to 10,000 feet in the car and got out. So there's all different types of 14ers. Sure. There's some that are technical where you need either really good rock climbing skills or even ropes, which this one had. We'll talk about that later, but had a little section. So we threw all the gear. Let's go back.
Oh, and the way my mind works, I should add, is, we looked up the two hikes. Like I mentioned, Lake is about 8 miles round trip. Snuffles is listed as, I think, 5.3 miles round trip. I didn't do a whole lot of research, but that to me sounded like a 13-mile day, which is kind of nothing for us. So I thought, let's go ahead and do them in the same day.
Yeah, I was in agreement. I knew, I was like, oh, this is going to be tough, but it's totally doable. So we thought we were going to do it in a day. Mm-hmm. But
it didn't pan out.
No, alas, Snuffles was a little more involved.
A little bit of a beast.
Yeah.
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 Not a beast. That's maybe a little
That happens with us all
dramatic.
The time, though. We're always like, let's do this all in one go, and then
we'll never learn.
Yeah, maybe not. Wisdom comes with age, so you might learn a little bit, like I have. So gear was simple. Hiking a 14er. What would you suggest bringing? Well, let's talk about the hike first, and then let's talk about if there was anything that we would have liked to have had.
Sure. If
there is anything. Mm-hmm. So we get to what's the town that we start out at?
Ouray,
yep. And we actually, what's kind of cool is a couple weeks ago we did the Imogene pass run. Mm-hmm. And to get to the Snuffles trailhead, you drive that race course. Mm-hmm. not the whole thing obviously, but you start off in Ouray, you drive up what becomes Imogene Pass, but you actually veer off a little before that and you go into Tommy Boy Basin. And that's, it was just kind of interesting to be driving what we ran a couple weeks ago with thousands of people, with over 1,000 people.
Gosh, I feel like I was thinking about that much less than how beautiful it was going out. The fall colors on that road were incredible.
Yeah, the first like quarter or maybe even half.
Yeah.
Was just.
It was amazing.
Blown up aspens.
I can't believe I didn't drive the car off the side of the cliff.
God, yeah. Oh, I'm driving next time. Yeah, gorgeous aspens on the way up through the canyon. I forget what that. There's Mill Creek, but I think there's Imogene Creek, Mill Creek. I forget what that first one is down there. There's something gulch, but drove up that road. Started getting a little rugged, so we pulled off a little bit shorter than a lot of the big Jeeps and trucks. There's a lot of big pick-em-up trucks and big old like. Do you remember the tires on that one Jeep? That was like 3 times as big as Chloe when she walked by.
Yeah, my baby RAV4 wasn't gonna make it.
No, and that's how it is. We got free hiking miles. So. So pulled off, hiked up, and we pretty soon hit a bunch of scree, which is a bunch of like rock
real
slide,
loose,
real loose stuff. There is the Blue Lakes Trail that we went towards, but then you can either go to the Blue Lakes Pass.
Yeah.
But if you
drop down on the other side to Blue Lakes.
And that would be over the pass, drop down to Blue Lakes. But you get to a certain spot and there's a turnoff that basically you're looking the whole time up at Sneffels and all the little peaks around Sneffels and thinking, at least I was thinking, holy crap, like that's super steep. How are we gonna get up there? I don't know if
super steep, and every time we saw a trail sign, it was like 0.7 miles.
Yeah, we get to one point and it said it's less than a mile, and you look up there, you're like, no way.
Gosh, it must have taken us like an hour to hike that last 0.7 miles, probably longer.
Longer than that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you make this right turn and you're just going straight up this ramp of loose. It's kind of funny. There's like real loose dirt as one option, or
a boulder field,
or like a boulder field. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say boulders. I mean,
well,
small boulders.
They're like
toaster-sized boulders.
This, I think. You keep hearing that?
No.
Oh, there it is again.
I think it's something outside.
Oh, outside. Okay, I'm bugging out to noises here. So yeah, they're like baby heads. Up to the size of.
I think that's such a fucked up like
term.
Analogy.
Baby heads.
Metaphor. Yeah.
It's just always been used. Up to the size of like microwave size, maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, so I thought that was a lot easier to walk on. That the loose little pebbles, I was just slipping over and over on the way up.
Yeah. Yeah, you were having a tough time. I think you need new shoes.
Yeah, probably. Chloe, on the other hand, was cruising up.
Oh, by the way, we had your dog with us.
Yeah.
Duh.
A little bug.
We got all about her. Yeah, so Chloe, what is that noise? Let's pause for break. Outside.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're back. We had Instagram is Chloe.bug.
Chloe.bug.outdoors.
Whoa. Chloe.bug.outdoors.
Otherwise known as Clobug, Bug, Tinky Winky, Tink Things.
I've never heard. Isn't Tinky Winky the name of a?
No, that's
one of those little characters, the little fluffy bear things.
Oh, the Teletubbies.
Teletubbies,
We were singing that last night, and by we I mean me.
Yeah, not me. Chloe, Tink Tink, little bug. Anyway, go follow her. Clobug Outdoors, and she was with us, of course, and ready to go tackle her. Not even her first 14er.
Yeah, her second. Quandary Peak in Breckenridge was her first, and she crushed it.
Yeah. Did she only do that once? Because you did it a couple times.
Yeah, I've done it a few times. She only did it once.
Yeah. Only.
Yep.
Yeah. So she was with us. What were we gonna say about Chloe going up?
Oh, she was just cruising.
Cool. Yeah.
Found a couple faster groups to hike with because we were going too slow.
She's always
doing
joining
great.
other groups. Well, she has 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
You know, dogs, they have that advantage. They have 4-wheel drive. I'm going to open up some more of this delicious drinking horn Meadery Mead in Flagstaff, Arizona. A drink that takes you back to simpler times. Drinkinghornmeadery.com. You're welcome, Evan. Oh, cool little flip top caps. All right, so we make that turn. We start heading straight up this scree field full of, we won't call them baby heads anymore, but about that size. Human heads. Well, no, that's not any better.
It's not any better. That's a little better. I don't know.
Yeah. So slipping, sliding. We weren't the only ones. We weren't the only ones there. How many people did you say we went up with? Say up.
10.
10. Yeah. About
Less than a
maybe
dozen,
5
yeah.
groups of 2-ish. I got to top. There was a couple of other like hesitant kind of groups. Yes. Yeah, I got ignored. I was trying to be friendly and nice, but
People didn't like Nick's dad jokes this weekend.
no, they weren't even dad jokes. They were more like dad conversations. Like, okay, so all right, listen up. Listen here, audience. I'm gonna explain this. We get to this point where it's kind of, what is it, like a
saddle.
saddle right before the end.
Mm-hmm.
Although that last part took a while.
The final push, yeah.
Yeah, so we get to this spot where it's kind of a good break, and there's a group of 4 girls, 4 or 5, 4.
I was gonna say
three
three
or 4 girls, and they've got helmets on, and they're like there, and you can tell they're like hesitant. And so I was like, hey, you guys on your way up or down? And they're like, oh, I don't know, up maybe. And the other girl's like, oh, we are gonna do it. And so what I like to do is encourage people. And so we got ourselves kind of ready to do it. And I was like, all right, let's do this. Yeah, come on. And just silence. I was that weird guy that was, yeah. And so I just head down, turned around, and started heading up the hill. But maybe I had an influence. They ended up going up at least almost to the top.
I bet they did that on their own. But yeah, maybe.
Well, of course they did it on their own. But okay. So
hey,
yes.
you know, being a woman can be a little rough. A lot of men try to talk to you, and it's unwanted. I know you're adorable. I would love it if you just talked to me on some random mountain, but you know.
Well, it wasn't the first time that happened that weekend, so.
I think it was the first, but not the last.
Oh.
Definitely not the last.
So we get to this little break spot, and it actually gets. It didn't get. Did it get steeper right there? I don't think it got steeper, but it got harder. Maybe the elevation right there. I don't know. That last part was slow going. No, you're staring off like.
No, I don't know if I would agree. I think that.
Don't agree.
I think my lungs felt fine. I think it was a little nerve-wracking because all of a sudden there were a ton of people. I feel like on our way up, we saw a couple people here and there, but I felt like we were alone for most of the hike up. That spot just was a bottleneck of most people going up, a couple groups going down. So it was nerve-wracking to have all of those big rocks that you could potentially let loose.
Yeah.
And Bug was going so much faster than us that she would get a little ahead of us and get kind of restless, and she would start traversing and kind of running around. So one of us more than the other was nervous that she was going to knock rocks down on people below us or on us.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably why we were being a little cautious and a little slow.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it was a bottleneck. We got to that spot, to that rest kind of point, and a couple of others caught up to us by then, and there was a couple coming down, and yeah, but we started off first on the way up, and then everyone else kind of came behind us. There was a lot of people below us, and that makes me nervous. It does, because I don't want to be the person to knock a rock down and hurt someone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've already done that, so I broke someone's wrist. I mean, it wasn't me, but like I knocked a rock off at this climbing area, and there was someone down on the bottom of the cliff, and it hit her in the wrist and actually fractured her wrist. So that's kind of always in my mind, and yeah, and sometimes I become a little anxious about situations. So, but yeah, there were a lot of rocks in that area specifically that felt like they could have come down.
Mm-hmm. So then we get up to the one, I guess you can call it technical move, right?
Oh yeah.
Class 4,
class
3.
No, low class 3 move, but high consequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, the move wasn't hard.
Oh no, it was great. But having
it was great.
It was. I would do it a million times. I wouldn't shove Chloe up there a million times. That was the nerve-wracking part for me. Yeah.
Yep, that's the difference. We had a dog with us. A couple of other people had dogs. We didn't see any. The one girl probably had her dog up there, the one coming down. But yeah. So sorry, I kind of interrupted. But so
no.
The move,
yeah.
What's it explained in the book or in the guide as?
I didn't read anything.
Oh.
So
Okay.
yeah, I guess we didn't. The whole point maybe that Nick was trying to make about gear and preparation was that I didn't do any. I threw my bin in the car and I didn't do any research on these hikes.
Oh, that's great.
So I think that the move was described as a V.
Yep, a V notch.
Yep, a V notch. And so really good handholds, good feet. For humans, it was fine. For a doggo that doesn't have opposable thumbs is obviously a little rough. So I went first and kind of got halfway up into the V, got like a steady stance with my feet, and then Nick kind of handed Chloe up, right? Is that what you did? Yeah.
I picked her up. I made sure my left foot like went out solid on this one kind of like really the only place, the boulder, you can put your left foot, which was kind of important, like to stabilize. And then lifted her up into the V notch to you, and then from that point you got her. There's always something about a dog that when you go above their head and grab the collar, I think their mind kind of changes to a little bit more of a trust thing. It's just something I've always known. Maybe someone out there listening agrees, or maybe no one knows what I'm talking about, but I've always thought when you go and you get above their head and pull like a little bit, like most of the dogs I've been around instantly will be like, okay, you've got me and we're going to do this. So you got her.
Chloe's a little used to it, I think.
She's awesome with that in that sense. She doesn't struggle. She doesn't flail. That can make it impossible. I would never want to take a dog on that if they were that kind of a dog.
You can tell she gets a little nervous here and there, but she gets through it. So yeah, we got her up.
Little cutie. It's I just want to kind of take a little more time and talk about like how like good she is with those situations.
Yeah.
Because we've done it in Sedona a couple times. I remember that one hike over to the Hogs. We went up that notch, and she's just she gets nervous and she looks like she's nervous, but she trusts us.
Yeah.
Like
I remember that spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She'll duck her head down kind of, but then she'll walk towards you. She knows. She's like, okay, we're going to do this. And like, that's not like a lot of other dogs. Other dogs would be like running the other way, be like, and you could never get a hold of them and get them over there. So I just want,
And it's kind of cute nervousness. Like if you try to get her to do something on her own, like she doesn't like jumping down off of kind of steep stuff. And she'll kind of like smile and wag her little tail and turn around and walk in a circle like she doesn't want to do it. But yeah, she'll let you help her. We could just praise Chloe all day. She's a perfect angel.
This is called the Chloe podcast. That's what it's going to be called. The Bug podcast. No, but it is not something I would suggest for people to do. No,
you just have to know your dog. Also, Chloe's a perfect size. She's 50 pounds. So Franklin would have been a little more difficult to hoist up there.
Yeah, so I don't know. We're about 37 and a half minutes in to the podcast.
We haven't even gotten to the good stuff.
We haven't, but we'll take this time to take a little break, fill up some mead, and come right back. So we were talking about getting to the top of Sneffels. There's a technical move just, I don't know, like 2 minutes from the top.
Yeah, a few minutes.
Yeah, not long. I mean, you can see the top once you do this technical move. So I lifted Chloe up to you. You pulled her up. I followed up. What?
I'm just remembering like a funny story at the top. Oh. I thought we were kind of almost done with this part of the trip, but we met some characters on the summit.
Oh. Yeah. All right, so we did that move. We got to the top, and then there was a guy, a girl, and another guy up there when we got up there, right?
I think just the couple, the German couple.
Oh, the other kid he got there right when we did too. Then they actually passed us on the hike up, kind of. Not many people pass us, but they kind of passed us because we were looking at a sign.
But they took the different routes. They went up Blue Lakes Pass and kind of did what is probably the more fun approach of Snuffles,
Absolutely.
which we for sure would have done had we not had the bug with us.
Yeah.
It would have been real difficult for a dog. It would have been that V-notch move over and over and over.
Don't take a dog up the ridge of Snuffles.
Yeah.
I haven't done it, but knowing what it's about, I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't take a dog. If you don't have a dog, do it, because I think that the hike itself sounds more enjoyable, and it's just kind of fun scrambling, nothing too outrageous, nothing too scary, and I think you avoid a lot of that scree field that we had to deal with.
Yeah, a lot more solid rock supposedly. So those two guys went up that way. We went up the standard route. We met at about the same time, pretty much exactly the same time. At the top of Snuffles, there was a German couple there. And do you want to explain?
With the guy?
Yeah.
No, you do it. I think that you do a better impression of him.
Oh, I do an impression.
I don't know.
Here, everybody.
Impressions of everyone.
Yeah, so we get to the top, and one of the guys from that group's there is like, "Hey, hello again." I was like, "Hey," and so we are taking in the views, and his partner comes up the ridge the last little bit, and he's like, "Oh, cool, hey," and his partner says, "How's my face doing?" And I thought, and he had a bunch of sunscreen on his face, and I thought that was what he was talking about, but he wasn't. Sorry, I had to bring that up. But his lip was cut. He had some blood on his lip.
Chin.
His chin.
It was like I would say a dime. If we're being generous to this kid, it was like a nickel size boo-boo on his chin.
Well, you just went right in there for the kidney shot, didn't you?
I say boo-boo because it wasn't bleeding. It was a scrape.
It wasn't actively bleeding. It was
scrape.
a cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, a cut on his face and on his chin. And
chin.
Yeah, he said, yeah, a rock was coming down, and I looked up when someone said rock, and it hit me in the face. It's like, oh, that sucks. And so the German guy that was there asked him if he needed anything because he had a first aid kit. Hey, man, you need something for that? You know, we have a little bit of first aid. And he's like, no, I think I'm all right. He said, I'm gonna find a medical center when I get down and go into a medical center. First of all, who says medical center?
Yeah.
Or medical facility. I think it is was it facility or
I think it was center.
Yeah, medical
I think
center.
we were saying facility because it's like slightly more normal.
Yeah. And so it caught us both. And this is, by the way, this is the judgment part of the podcast where we judge people, like. but it wasn't. It was a cut. It was a little cut on us.
And his buddy was like, you know, man, I think you just like maybe need some Neosporin. He's like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna find a medical center when we get back in town.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was either his friend or the German guy said, yeah, I don't think you need stitches or anything. So, but I don't want to downplay how dangerous rock fall can be.
Yeah, totally.
Rock fall, I've been involved in a near accident with rock fall. I also had the one that like I said before, broke someone's wrist. But it was kind of amusing, the extravagancy of the little cut. So,
judgment over.
Yeah, judgment over. So it was a beautiful view, right? Mm-hmm. We could look down towards the west and see Blue Lakes, all three of them. Mm-hmm. There's lower, not so lower, and upper.
Yeah. Gosh, is it the middle one? I think is the big one. Is that right?
I'd have to look back at pictures.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I hiked there myself. I feel like I should remember. I do think it's either lower or middle is kind of the big one, the really beautiful one. You go up a little higher and get to some smaller ones. Yeah, that was amazing.
Stayed up there, had a beer, took some pictures. They've got the little sign, Mount Snuffles, 14,150. Did it say 158?
Yeah.
Okay. In the first group.
It wasn't wrong.
Well, I was thinking it said 150, but. In the first group picture that we had taken of us, you were holding the sign.
Oh, upside down, yeah.
Upside down.
Whoops.
That was awesome. And so then we headed back down, did the V-notch move again, lowered Chloe. It's definitely no joke. Like, you've got to pay attention on that, both the ascent and the descent. And then went down, 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 down. Just
down, down, babe. Well, I didn't know the second line, but you did.
Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa ride.
Light it up and take a puff. That's what you're doing now.
That song is always on my mind when I'm going down hikes, like steep hikes. And also, I always get stuck in my head roots rock reggae for some reason. I used to always when I was landscaping. Bob Marley.
No, but I mean like singing.
Roots rock reggae. Roots
Why
rock
does that
reggae
get stuck
now.
in your head?
Because there's roots and rocks.
Oh, I see.
When I was landscaping and building ponds in New Jersey, I would dig these giant holes for the ponds. There's always roots and rocks, and I'd always get that in my head. So, wow. Cool story. Why'd those girls ignore me again? Yeah, went down, Snuffles. All right, Snuffles done, right?
Done.
Boom. Sweet. So we knew very quickly that we weren't going to do Columbine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, on the way up, I think we knew.
Yeah, it was just taking too much to do both Snuffles and Columbine in one go. So we got down, we stopped at a little waterfall, took some pictures. Mm-hmm. We went down and the sun was really beautiful, took some shots of because the just golden aspens, just yellow, golden, a lot like your shirt right now.
Yeah.
Mustard, some might say. Took some photos and then
I could go for a corn dog, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Kind of.
Right, we'll be right back after this corn dog break.
Corn dogs, Jackie! Corn dogs for all these people!
All right, we're back after the corn dog break. We were talking about going down and hitting the beautiful aspens, taking pictures. We were right near the town of Silverton. Or no, we came down Ouray, but we drove down to Silverton where we were going to stay. We actually treated ourselves, got an Airbnb. It was from the site Airbnb, but it wasn't really an Airbnb. It was a
hotel.
It was a hotel.
A lot of folks do that now.
Oh, really?
You got to compete, you know.
Folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on this Airbnb/hotel, that was really cool, and I want to talk a little bit about that before we get into. We haven't even really gotten into the meat of the conversation. It's 47 minutes in. The hotel we stayed at was called the Avon, and it was an old 1904. It was built in opened maybe in 1904. That's crazy. That's a long time ago.
And the ceilings were original.
Yep.
From 1904. I thought it was 1906.
Maybe it was 1906. Probably was. It was 1904.
I think it was 1904. Google it.
All right.
And most exciting thing about the Avon Hotel. Can I say it?
I don't know. Can you?
May I say it?
Yes, you may.
It was formerly a brothel.
Hey-o. Yeah, cool. Well, because Silverton's a mining town. All those miners spend days and days and days with dudes in dark holes.
The most interesting thing we learned, I learned from, another guest in the hotel the morning we were checking out, was that there are passageways, underground tunnels or passageways all throughout the town of Silverton.
So cool.
Yeah, and one led directly to the basement of the Avon.
Yeah. The brothel.
Yeah, the brothel.
From the bank, he said.
Sure, yeah. So men could. Sure. No, I believe you. I just don't remember that detail. I
remember that. I got to go do some banking.
Yeah.
And so they go in the bank for 4 hours.
Come out with a big smile on their face.
Yeah.
That was super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, Avon definitely suggests that. There's, I think, probably about 12 rooms. Some of some of them are private rooms, and some of them are dorm kind of bunk hostel style.
Yeah, I wasn't stoked about that when we walked in and you mentioned that we were going to be sharing a bathroom with other people, but I changed my mind real quickly. The bathrooms were so clean.
They're ridiculous.
They had really nice lotion and shampoo and conditioner. I was impressed.
Anyway, highly recommend Avon. Right in the beginning of town. Silverton's a great town. It's very small. It was definitely dead at this time of year, but during the winter and then during the summer especially, it's hopping. They have crazy bands that come in. Casey confirmed that when him and his dad were there doing their ski tour. They had a band in, and they said they couldn't even hardly move in the place.
And you mean the Avon, not
the Avon.
Silverton in general. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it gets pretty rowdy there. Kind of happy it didn't during our stay because one of us went to bed at like 8:15, so we weren't in
Chloe was
raging
so tired.
Not Chloe.
Yeah, well then we got woken up by the raging Kiwis, the New Zealanders, and so I came into the bathroom the next morning. They were having a good time. That's what you do.
Sure, they're fine.
Have a good time. You drink. You laugh. The door and the walls are
they're super thin.
Yeah, you're gonna hear everything.
Yeah.
And so I just want to tell this little story. I went into the bathroom the next morning and was brushing my teeth, and this guy came in, one of the Kiwis came in, and he said something to me, and I don't know what the heck he said. Like, this was a deep accent. I can understand Australians and New Zealanders and stuff usually, but this guy had a deep accent. And then I was like, huh? And he said it again. I swear he said, I have a farm pig something something. And I even said to him, I go, a farm pig? And he's like, a farmping headache. So I guess that's like a phrase, like a farmping headache or a frumping headache. And I thought he said farm pig. So anyway, they had some farmping headaches from partying there. But the Avon was cool. And then we went to Avalanche, grabbed some food and some beer. Avalanche is in the midst of creating their new space right in downtown, a lot bigger. As they say, we are finally moving to a concrete street. And so that's awesome. Can't wait for Avalanche. Yeah, can't wait for Avalanche to open up. Austin and Casey own that, and they're super, super great, nice people. So if you go to Silverton, go to Avalanche Brewing Company. If you get a chance to go somewhat soon, they will still be serving out of this cute little ski shack kind of place. But when you go there, you can tell like they need to get a bigger space. It's just,
it was packed.
Yeah, and it's packed. It's small. It just gets really packed. So, yeah. All right, so we woke up. Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday. Big day Sunday. Sunday was a big day.
Oh, little did we know.
We wake up from the Avon, we go to check out, and we're headed to
Columbine Lake.
Yeah, beautiful, gorgeous. All these lakes in the San, not all of them, but a lot of them in the San Juans are this beautiful, gorgeous, like turquoise blue. Mm-hmm. So this is one of them, but this is one you got to earn.
The hike was definitely steeper than I expected. Again, I did next to nothing research on this, so I didn't know what the elevation gain was, and it was kind of tiring on the way up. It was just up,
super steep right off the bat.
Yeah.
The first, what would you say? That's a quarter of the hike, or maybe
yeah. I would say at least a mile. Super steep, and then up the rest of the way. It didn't really let up until basically that last mile.
Yeah.
Maybe, but beautiful. Had some fall colors right off the bat, and then we eventually got out of the tree line and we're in this big wide open basin that was also beautiful. Could imagine it with like wildflowers in the summer. So I don't know if I should say this right now, not to spoil anything, but normally I would keep Chloe on her leash for hikes in Colorado, in Flagstaff, places where there are deer and elk that she loves to chase and has chased many a time. But out here, we're in this huge basin. You could see for a mile, as far as I can see in every direction. Definitely no herds of deer, elk out there. A decent number of people and dogs on the trail, so I wasn't worried. Had her off the leash the whole hike.
Yeah.
Just
So
to
we get
throw
to-
that in
yeah.
there.
So we
will
get to
become
the-
important.
We get to Columbine Lake. It's absolutely gorgeous. You this first little peak of it, the flatness. You get this. You kind of go over this horizon, and just the blue is the first thing that knocked me back. I was like, wow, okay, I've seen the blue. I've seen ice lakes. I've seen those. Like, this is super blue.
Mm-hmm. And big. It was a lot bigger than I expected.
Yeah, yeah.
We had been to Hope Lake after Imogene. Beautiful lake too, but it's little. Columbine's big.
Yeah, it's almost got kind of 3 sections to it. The center, and then there's some off to the left and some off to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Real blue. The Kiwis were behind us. They caught back up to us. Actually, no one some people left, and we were by ourselves, which was instigation for me to hit the reset button, as I like to call it. I call it hitting the reset button when you go into cold water, cold water. This is a lake that's at 13,000 feet.
And it was like maybe in the 50s outside.
Yeah, not
temperature.
super warm outside. The sun was all right, but yeah. So stripped down to, well, nothing but a smile, and got in and got out, and then got back in and got back out. That second time was really, really cold. It was just beautiful, beautiful lake. So yeah, did our thing, took our pictures that we needed to take, and hung out.
Had our snacks.
Had our snack. So yeah, had a
Beautiful
snack on the rock.
day.
Yeah, really, really nice day. Super clear. No worry about clouds or anything like that. And then headed back down after a little bit and cruising across the treeless big meadows.
And there was a group, those 3 people that we had met right when we got to the lake. I chatted with them for a bit while you were off taking pictures. They had a little puppy, really, really cute pup.
Yeah.
So they were right in front of us hiking out. So Chloe was ahead of us a little bit, just kind of playing with the pup and running along on the trail, kind of in between us and this group, just ahead of us. Are we getting into it?
Yeah.
Is this the time? So there was a spot just off the trail. How far would you say off the trail? Like 100 feet?
No, less than
200?
that.
Oh, less than that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
50
feet off the trail. On our way up to the lake, Chloe had scampered over there and was interested in something, kind of sticking her head into a hole or underneath a rock, sniffing around. So I wasn't super concerned. I figured it was a squirrel, or is it pika? Pika? What's a pika?
These little rodent things. They're kind of like smaller versions of marmots.
Yeah. So just kind of figured she was after a pika. So on our way back, Chloe and then this other puppy went right back to that same spot and were sniffing around. So I started to yell for her to come back to the trail. The puppy ran back to its owners ahead of us, and Chloe was still doing her little sniffing thing. So I was yelling for her, and then when I caught a glimpse of her, she had something white in her mouth, is what it looked like. So I thought that, like, oh shit, she actually caught a squirrel and has a mouthful of a rodent right now, some white rodent. So I said to you, like, oh my gosh, she has something in her mouth, what do I do? And you're like, it's fine, she'll drop it, just walk towards her. And so I started walking towards her, maybe running, I don't really remember. And the closer I got, I realized that it was not a rodent, but a face and mouthful of porcupine quills. So she had found a porcupine in this little hole.
When you first saw that, like when we walked over there and she came up over the hill, it looked like she was kind of thrashing
She was.
an animal in her mouth. It looked like anytime you've seen a wolf or a coyote, or maybe you've seen a dog snag something like a squirrel or a marmot or something like that, and is shaking their head around, that's what it looked like. It looked like she had an animal in her mouth.
Yeah. And when we got closer and realized it was quills, she was thrashing her head, but she was doing so because those quills were, in her mouth, in her tongue, all over her face. And so she was thrashing her head around to try to get them out herself. And she was going crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It was terrifying. She was pawing at her face. I I can only imagine how much pain she was in. So it was really traumatic. I just, ran over to her and just kind of remember yelling, like, it's porcupine quills. Like, what do I do? Should I take them out? And you said, yeah, I mean, if you can, start taking them out, I think. And so I was trying to grab at her face. I think I actually got one right away, just plucked one out. Yeah. But it was scary to be that close to her when she was thrashing her head around, because those quills are sharp. And I mean, she's a strong dog. She was thrashing her head, as fast and strongly as she could. And so I didn't want to get struck by a face full of quills either. But yeah, it was definitely a moment of panic. I had no idea. I mean, and honestly, I don't know anything about, or at the time didn't know anything about porcupine quills. I didn't know if like they emitted some type of like bacteria or, kind of poison. I honestly didn't know if she was going to be okay. Like, I really thought, like, is she going to die from this? Is she going to make it through? What are we going to do? We're 4 miles from the car. So that was terrifying.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah, we were 4 miles still out, and it was a situation where you see an animal like just in pain and you want to help it. And so, yeah, we took action to do that. And I knew that my mind went in 3 different directions. Like right off the bat, I was like, yeah, we need to stop her from pawing. She was like pawing at it with her paws, with her legs, and just probably shoving them further into her. And this is tough to talk about. Like, I'm sure people listening to this are like, oh. But to get her under control and like get her feet stopped, that was like a big thing you did. And then the second thing I thought of was I was going to grab a shirt and somehow use it to cover her and like pull him out. And then I remembered that I had pliers in a first aid kit. So I usually have a first aid kit with me. Not always, which is terrible. I wish I could say always, but most of the time I either have my big first aid kit or my little first aid kit. My little first aid kit I call my oh shit kit. And it's something with a couple of kind of survival things. And one of the things I have in there is a multi-tool that has pliers. And I would now suggest, if you're hiking with a dog in any kind of situation, that you have pliers and not tweezers, because there's no way that tweezers would have gotten those out. So I have these pliers, and so just go over there, kind of contain her as much as possible, and just start trying to get the important ones out. The first ones were the ones near her, I thought were the ones near her eyes. There's a couple that I got out right off the bat near her eyes. There weren't a whole lot. There was just 1 or 2.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard to create a visual for people listening, and we saw in person, but I think you described her as looking like a clown, like clowns that have that white around their mouths. I mean, it was both sides of her face, just full. I mean, easily over 100, probably over 120.
Well over 100.
Yeah.
Well over 100.
Quills.
Couple hundred.
That you could see on her face. And so when I was restraining her, I mean, this was traumatic for me. This is like my baby. So I was like doing my best to not freak out and break down and cry, and we're laughing because Chloe's bringing her little stuffed
She
animal.
walked right over here just now. She knows we're talking about her.
Yeah, so it was, I mean, she's my baby. I worry about her more than is healthy, probably. So I couldn't even really look at her. It was just too upsetting. So when I was restraining her, I had her from behind and was kind of hugging her and had my head pressed into her back. So, I mean, in part because I didn't want to look, especially when you started pulling the quills out of her face. I just couldn't look. There was blood.
Yeah.
It was obviously painful for her. And then the second reason was that every time you would pull a quill out, she would kind of shake her head. And again, like I mentioned before, I didn't want to get whacked in the face with a face full of quills. So I didn't see a lot of what happened for probably the first, I have a hard time like conceptualizing time, but like 20 to 30 minutes, I think I was just holding her down and really not looking at what you were doing. Yeah,
it was a sight too. There was definitely, you can make all the decisions, and there might be someone listening to this thinking that, what I did was wrong in trying to get all these out, but they were inside of her mouth. They were in the roof of her mouth and in her tongue. And at that point, they were still hard and sharp, and I didn't want her to swallow that. And that was where most of the damage was being done, because she was continually trying to get those out of her mouth, so doing more and more damage. And I was even able to grab, so I grabbed. It's funny, she allowed me in a sense. I was holding her mouth open with my thumb, but she in a sense allowed me to get almost all of those out of her mouth from the inside, which I think was huge. And you're saying you didn't see it, but yeah, there was a lot of blood.
Yeah, I saw some of the blood. It was like a horror movie, honestly. Her mouth was just full of blood. And again, like my thoughts were, what's going to happen to her? Like, is she going to be okay? And I have never seen her bleed like that. So I, the whole time was just thinking, like, she might not make it through this. I have no idea, what the longer term implication of this is going to be. And there's blood all over your hands, on your pants. It was, I'm not exaggerating, like kind of splattering or flying through the air at times. Yeah.
When she'd shake her head. Yeah. So yeah, it was a bad scene. And got a decent amount of them out, spent a lot of time trying to get as many out to make her more comfortable as possible. There was eventually a time when it just really was, I just couldn't get any more out. She wouldn't let it happen. She is a strong dog, and it's really kind of hard. You can't hold a dog's head still when they have quills in there without it's just, you can't do it. Like the quills they kept hitting me, and they kept you couldn't.
There's nowhere on her head to grab.
Yeah,
if you're thinking about grabbing a dog's face, you normally would go for their snout.
For their muzzle, their snout.
To keep them still. And you couldn't, because it was full of quills.
Yeah.
But, to kind of go back to what you just said, that maybe some people would disagree with what we did or you did pulling them out. That it was just the only option. The way she was like a crazed animal at the very beginning, the way she was pawing at her face, and I think that needed to stop. So, and actually I think that's what made it more difficult at the end, was once all those quills were out of her mouth and tongue and she was a little more comfortable, then she started taking control of the situation a little more, and then really wasn't letting you get the ones kind of on the exterior.
Yeah. Before her brain was so frazzled, I could get in there
and it's in so much pain. The ones on her face were really not causing her any pain.
Yeah, it's the ones in her mouth. Yeah, and since then I've looked up a couple of pictures and examples of dogs that have gotten into porcupines, and it's a spectrum of a little bit on the side to all on the chest mostly, but hers were in her mouth.
Yeah.
She bit it. Yeah. She went for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So enough of that. terrible.
Well, so yeah, we probably called it quits when there were at least 30 that we could see still in her face. Yeah. And at that point too, some people had been hiking by on the trail. We kind of thought that it would be helpful to have a third person, but in that situation, with how stressed out she was, we kind of decided against it.
Yeah, I think a stranger and how in her predicament, she would not have been happy.
Yeah.
At all. And honestly, I don't know what a third person could have done. So we got those out. We got a good amount out. There was still quite a bit, but she was calming down. We got a Benadryl in her.
Yeah, she still had an appetite. We were able to get her Benadryl. I first just tried shoving it in her mouth, and that didn't work.
I had no inkling in my brain that she would go for food and swallow it at that point.
And Chloe's a piglet, and she loves her food. So I had a peanut butter Lar bar and put some Benadryl in that, which, she just gobbled down.
Yeah, so she was chilling out. We got her as good as we could. Couldn't do any more. There was a couple times I said, I can't do any more. And we need to hike her out. So we hiked out the 3.5-4 miles. She was
happy as a clam. That was what it wasn't
what a weird
funny.
Phrase.
But yeah, right. we obviously, had her on leash hiking out, and she was fine. She had a little puppy smile on her face. She was immediately,
She went right for another little hole in a rock.
Yeah.
For sniffs.
Yep.
So she obviously didn't learn. She'll go right back to another porcupine, I have no doubt, unfortunately. We got her down. I've got a couple friends that live in Durango. I've got 3 people that basically live in Durango. I hit them up to see about a vet. 2 of them are dog owners. The other guy was like, this isn't my wheelhouse. I don't know anything about vets. But the other 2 gave us the same exact recommendation of the vet. The only one it was a Sunday. So we're like, crap. There's not going to be a vet open on a Sunday.
It was really like, crap, this is going to be an emergency vet and we're going to get charged way more money, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah. So we went in, but went to a vet. She had to be sedated to get the rest of them out. She actually even had to have slight suture or cut open.
Yeah, they had a few incisions inside her mouth because there were a few quills that were basically lodged like in her cheek or lips that weren't sticking out at all, were enough on either side for the vets to get them out. So she has some stitches in her mouth from those incisions.
Yeah, got that taken care of. She was sedated. She had anesthesia general and was completely knocked out. It's kind of funny to watch her. Not funny. I mean, it's funny now, but it was a little worrisome when they let her go. She was like stumbling around and like her tongue was sticking out. It was usually when you drop a dog off at the vet for this kind of procedure, they keep them for a while until they're like almost completely better, it seems like. But we got her back so quick because we were heading back to Flagstaff.
And it was the combo of that and I think her pain. She's been sedated one other time when she got a tumor removed. And I dropped her off at 7 in the morning, picked her up at 4 p.m. or something. So she had been recovering all day, and she was completely back to normal. But she also, she wasn't back to normal for a full day, more than a day. And I think it was in large part due to the trauma and pain she went through.
Yeah. So it's crazy. I mean, I don't know if anyone out there listening has had to deal with dogs and porcupines, but this was pretty extreme. I'm just very happy that she didn't get it closer to the eyes. My first time, I've had dogs my whole life. I've never had a porcupine event. And I mean, I had like cactus and cholla events, but this was, it was intense. She was a trooper.
Always.
She let me do a lot of things that a lot of dogs wouldn't have let someone do, which makes me feel very happy to know that trust. I actually think me and her relationship has changed a little bit since then.
And you were worried that she was going to be a little mad at you afterwards.
Yeah. But I think it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Since then, I feel like, we're a little bit closer.
Oh.
Yeah, she kind of messed my thumb up a little bit, but it's all good.
Although during it, you were just saying like, you can gnaw on me, girl. You keep gnawing on my thumb. It's fine. Yeah. You can gnaw on me.
Yeah.
Just don't bite me.
I'll sacrifice. Yeah, just don't bite completely down. She is a dog that could tear a finger off. So that was our weekend trip. Started off very beautiful and just a little frolic in the mountains, and then ended with craziness. Anything else to add about that?
Nada.
No.
Oh, I mean, actually, we forgot the hot spring and Joe, but another story for another time.
Yeah, and maybe one not to share. I don't know.
I'm fine putting it out of my memory.
Yeah, there's hot springs out there in the San Juans. We found one.
Some people wear clothes, others don't. Some people are creepy, others aren't.
Yeah, I didn't wear clothes in Columbine Lake, but there's 2 bits of nakedness, but that's what happens when you're on vacation. Nakedness. All right, we'll end it on that. Thank you guys for listening. I'll probably put in some kind of ending here once we figure out a name for this podcast. And we'll come up with a tagline. What's our tagline? What are your final thoughts?
Oh no.
Here we go. Go.
I'm not good at this.
Okay, I'm not good at this is how we're going to end every podcast. I'm not good at this. That's Carrie Henderson.
Oh, and this is Nick Urban.
Hey, and we're the blah 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 podcast. Cool. Well, good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night. It's late.